So far this year, I've made 46 videos, and a whopping 4 of those have been about Halo Infinite. Frankly, there really just hasn't been that much to talk about. But the one consistent thing that this game has had going for it has been Forge. Thanks to the power of forgeable AI, its potential is absolutely crazy. People have literally been making entire campaigns. But thanks to recent updates and additions, these campaigns have now been taken to the next level. And today, we're diving into the absolute cream of the crop. These are the best custom campaigns in Halo Infinite. But we're going to start out with something radically different. This is Raidstorm, and it is unlike literally anything that Halo has ever seen before. Not just in Forge, I'm talking the entire damn Halo franchise. Now, it's not exactly a custom campaign, so to speak, at least in a conventional sense, but it is without a doubt the most unique and frankly incredible map ever made. Okay, enough teasing though. What actually is this map? Well, it's an incredibly intricate puzzle map that intertwines with a real-world horror ARG that revolves around a cold case from the 20th century that also has sprinklings of Hinduism and other esoteric beliefs in it as well. So yeah, I really wasn't kidding when I said that there's literally nothing else like Raidstorm out there. The puzzle map has been out for quite a few months now, and along with the ARG, it's still entirely unsolved because the ARG is still ongoing. So the way that it works is, to actually progress the ARG, you have to solve ciphers in the map, which then cause its creator, who, by the way, still remains entirely unknown. Nobody knows who made this map or the ARG. Entirely unknown, it then causes that person to release new entries in the ARG, which then contain information about how to solve the next ciphers in the map and so on. The videos themselves are released on a channel called Sarpadosha and are extremely creepy. They're the kind of things that you'd expect to see in like a Wendigoon video or a Nexpo video. Because people are yet to progress very far in the map, only 2 ARG videos have been released so far. ParadoxE_1 and ParadoxE_2. They feature really creepy shots of abandoned buildings, some kind of toy bear or dog, whatever the hell this dusty thing is meant to be, a flame that changes from green to yellow to red, and then another shot of that bear toy thing with a jump scare at the end. The name of the channel, Sarpadosha, is actually, brace yourself, a planetary alignment in Vedic astrology. Now, Vedic astrology is astrology that's based on ancient Indian religious texts, and Sarpadosha is a planetary configuration that, when seen, is said to significantly and negatively impact an individual's life. Also on the channel are various video clips of what I think are meant to be the different puzzle chambers on the map, besides the first one that you're seeing in the gameplay here, and all these videos have this kind of really creepy, unsettling, ancient vibe to them. I've never seen a Forge map bridge into the real world before, and to do it via horror ARG is just mind-blowing, to say the least. This whole thing feels like a creepypasta, or like the kind of thing that you'd see in one of those VHS movies, if you know what I'm on about. Just overall, absolutely incredible design. There are various groups right now that are dedicated to trying to solve the ARG and the map, but they seem kind of very spread out and weirdly private. People don't seem to be very willing to share their progress publicly, which some might not like. Personally, I kind of think that adds to the creepy, almost clandestine vibe of the map. Not to repeat myself again, but I genuinely cannot put into words how special this map, or I should rather say experience, is. This is probably the most that the zombies Easter egg solving part of my brain has been activated since I got 3rd in the world for the Moon Easter egg back in 2011. It transcends what anybody has done with Forge ever before, and is absolutely worth checking out and immersing yourself in, even if you don't manage to solve anything. Seriously, check it out. Next up, we have a level called Zero Order Hold, and this one reintroduces a really cool feature that was only ever present for like 25 seconds in Halo 2, wind physics. The level takes place aboard a banished prison ship as it's soaring through the sky, and the way that its creator has designed the surrounding environment is really good. It really makes you feel like you're actually soaring through the sky, and this is only enhanced by, of course, the wind physics. So, if you add one Eaglebot and then set the server to local offline, you get a realistic simulation of what it'd be like to jump on an exposed part of the ship that was moving this fast. I gotta say, it's really cool, but more on that in a second. The level opens with you in your prison cell, with brute wardens patrolling the halls, but luckily they happen to leave the vent open. So, in typical Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell style, you make your escape through the ventilation shafts and start taking out your captors. You then continue to sneak through more ventilation shafts to progress through the ship, before eventually scaling the outer wall and dropping down to the maintenance catwalks beneath. And this is where the fun really begins. Not only can you see the ground racing beneath you, but because you're exposed to the elements, when you jump, the wind takes you with it, which can work against you, but also can be utilized to do some really cool jumps. The wind even affects dropped weapons as well. This section is so fun. You then reascend through the ship and fight across its surface on top, which is, again, another encounter crafted with the wind physics in mind, where debris and objects on the map act kind of like Donkey Kong barrels, and can be manipulated dynamically to either crush the banished, or send you into the afterlife, so to speak. This whole section felt like I was fighting on Narrows, the Halo 3 map, but with a tornado and hurricane blazing in the sky. It was so cool. You then reach the ship's bridge, take out the boss McKeithan, and reclaim it. Honestly, the setting for this map is so cool, but the wind physics are absolutely what make it. If you play this map, you have to play it with the wind physics enabled. Honestly, I don't know how you could play it without them. You won't regret it. Next up, we have one of the first episodic campaigns that we're going to be covering today, what I'm going to call the Fall series. The first level, Forest Fall, is pretty basic, it's nothing crazy. You fight through some light foresty areas, on rocks and through streams, before reaching a big banished base full of vehicles. Then, once they're all destroyed, you reach the command station of the base, where you take out some chieftains, some banished hunters, and finally a boss, and reclaim the base, and the level ends. But then, the second level, Infiltration Fall, begins. And this level is why I'm covering this campaign. It's a rather reminiscent level that is a massive step up from Forest Fall. It begins in the dead of night, in a canyon, overshadowed by a massive docked Covenant cruiser, and this thing looks amazing, especially at night with its bright purple grav lift glowing through the darkness. The scale of the ship just looks amazing. It all makes for a really aesthetic push to its boarding platform, and when you reach it, in very traditional Halo style, you have to fend off multiple waves of reinforcements that descend down the gravlet from the ship, including Tremonius as well, which, I gotta say, it felt quite fitting fighting mini-boss at the end of an encounter like this. Halo 1 Remake, I'm looking at you. Then, you actually board the ship, finding yourself in a very familiar looking hangar. Now, the interior of this ship is a really nice mixture of very familiar environments and also some totally new ones as well. Once you make it out of this rather iconic, dare I say, hangar, you fight through a few massive hallways before going through some very well created Halo 2 doors and reaching, again, a very well recreated set of Halo 2 style prison cells, where you free not only Marines, but also friendly jackals from their captors. Escaping with your newfound friends, you cross a very cool recreation of Halo 2's gravity travelators? You know what, actually I'm not quite sure what these things were ever meant to be. All I know is that they were really cool and they've been recreated really well as well. And then to end the level, you hop in a captured Scorpion and go through a tank run section within the ship, which is pretty cool, where the Halo theme is just blaring in the background. You destroy the ship's generators, and then you sprint to the finish. This level in particular was really cool, and it's a great example of why adding music to Forge was so important. Before, when it was just AI, it was great, but a lot of the levels that you played kind of just felt like arenas with AI to kill in them. Now, with music, they actually feel like kind of cohesive scripted levels. Really adds to the experience. Definitely check this one out. So, if alongside these iconic maps you're looking for a new game to play to tide you over until the next Halo game, then look no further than War Thunder, today's sponsor. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and it's available now for free on PC and consoles. Take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armoured cars of the 1920s to fighter jets and main battle tanks of today. And I gotta say, one of my favourite features of this game is that they all come with extremely realistic damage models. Every vehicle is intricately modelled down to all of its individual components, engines, fuel tanks, weapons, and more, all susceptible to damage or disabling from enemy fire individually. Different types of armour, shells, and missiles even behave like their real-world counterparts as well, and this all makes the gameplay feel as authentic as it could possibly be. Immerse yourself in the intense combat of War Thunder, where these incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects place you right at the helm of the most powerful war machines of our time. There's even in-depth customization for them as well, from camouflages and historical markings to even decorations for every type of vehicle, some of which are even community created. So join a worldwide community of over 70 million players in epic PvP battles today, and delve into the breathtaking experience that is War Thunder. With an unmatched wealth of high-quality content to discover, there's simply no game better suited for fans of military history. Play for free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox by using my link in the pinned comment or the video description, which gives all new and returning players who haven't played for 6 months a massive bonus pack, containing multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account. But it's only available for a limited time. Okay, I'd be remiss to talk about Infinite's custom campaigns and not touch on the incredible remakes that people are making, because, I mean, after all, this stuff is our history. Now, I've had to lump all the remake maps that I'm covering into one section because, frankly, if I didn't do that, I could just spend this entire video talking about remakes, and I don't want to just talk about them. They're going to end up eating up way too much of the video, so I've dedicated just one section to them. The first two that I'm going to cover are both from Halo 1, and honestly, before we even talk about the levels themselves, we need to touch on the custom settings that they come with. Now, these settings transform Infinite's gameplay into roughly Combat Evolved's. That means no sprint, no clamber, no slide, nothing like that. Weapon reload times as well are altered to be on par with Halo 1, and even the weapons themselves are heavily changed as well to, again, make them function like their Halo 1 counterparts. So the Magnum, for example, fires extremely powerful M6D tier shots, and the AR has a huge mag and a really high fire rate. Honestly, I can't sing the praises of these settings anymore. You aren't constantly just sprinting and sliding through environments, completely ignoring them because of the speed that you're playing at, and you aren't constantly clambering over everything and treating the geometry of the level as like a jungle gym and not actually a setting and location. Your weapons aren't reloading so fast that there's just no punishment for running a mag down. These settings, honestly, to me, just kind of prove how just classic Halo's gameplay is the absolute king when it comes to Halo, and how its pacing was vastly superior for campaign settings as well. You actually have to approach encounters with a little bit of thought and strategy, and you also get time to take in the world and just kind of soak it up, unlike in modern Halo where it kind of feels like you're just rushed through it. It's honestly amazing, just like the levels. So, the first level is Pillar of Autumn, and honestly, I genuinely do not think that you could ever get a more perfect recreation of the level in Forge than this. Literally everything is recreated down to a T. Character scripting, like Sam being blown up by the door, and Chip's Dubbo leading you to the bridge, both absolutely bang on. Thanks to the amazing settings, the environments are one-to-one in every way as well, and even scripted events like being given the Magnum or the plasma torpedoes destroying the lifeboats are exactly as they were in Combat Evolved as well. This is an unbelievably authentic remake. In fact, it felt so authentic to me that I even felt my Halo 1 muscle memory kicking at one point to avoid death via chain reaction when I saw a grenade explode next to a bunch of other grenades on the floor. It hit me on a subliminal level. That's how authentic it is. And the same applies to this remake of Assault on the Control Room as well. Made by the same 3 forgers as Pillar of Autumn, who made it so authentically in fact, that they literally had to split the level into 2 separate maps because it's so big. Honestly, this is the level that really made me realise that Infinite's gameplay just makes everything play too fast. Playing through this level in Halo Infinite, but with classic gameplay, felt amazing. The same applies to this level as applied to the Autumn. Literally everything is recreated so accurately with this level that you'd honestly have no idea that it was a Forge map, save for maybe some of the graphics. It's honestly wild to me that this is possible in Forge now. It's not made in Custom Edition, it's not made with mod tools. This is made in the same tool that I used to use to drop kill balls on my friends. I can't believe it. Honestly, this is just so good. And then the other two maps are both from Halo 2, starting out with Cairo Station. And again, this is recreated one-to-one in every single way, even down to Guns dying in his armory and the scripted event of the Athens in the Malta blowing up in the distance. It absolutely feels like Halo 2. The aesthetic of this map, again, is absolutely perfect. Definitely play through this level, give it a try. When I saw the Malta and the Athens blow up in the distance, my jaw legit dropped, because seeing something like that, like even in a level creation in Forge, I wouldn't really expect. To see it done that authentically, just bravo. And the other Halo 2 map is actually one that's not been finished yet, it's not out yet, but it looks so good that I had to mention it. This level is a recreation of the entire last section of Great Journey, recreated by Angelito. And again, everything from the control room to the scarab and even the installation in the cliff face looks amazing, and I can't wait to try it out once it releases. But these are just a handful of some of the fantastic remakes out there. Definitely give them a try, links to all of them in the description. I recommend playing them with classic gameplay. Honestly, just the Halo 1 levels in particular with that gameplay felt unbelievably good. Okay, so we've already covered one episodic campaign, but now let's cover one that's quite literally twice its length. This is the Echoes of Valor campaign, a campaign set over 4 totally unique locales and biomes. Episode 1 opens in a snowy tundra as you awaken at your makeshift camp, the fire still burning. In the distance is a crimson-red banished carrier, and the icy plains are littered with banished troops. So, it's time to get to work. First off, you scout out a few banished outposts and points of interest on the ice, before heading for the main base, which is well fortified, but you can quite easily infiltrate it and kill everything at least in the first courtyard, which frees up the caves behind. Heading through these lava caves, you reach the Forerunner installation the Banished were after, and defeat what kind of felt like a modified Adjutant Resolution, before exfilling via a short, snowy Warthog run. Your destination at the end of the Warthog run is your Saber, docked at the end of the canyon, and when you reach it, you hold off from several waves of tough Banished before taking off. But then Episode 2 opens in the heart of a desert surrounded by the wreckage of that very Saber. This level also has a really cool section right at the start, where you can actually choose your loadout, which was pretty cool. The desert itself is a semi-open world, kind of similar to the tundra in the first level, with a specific objective to complete, but also with various POIs kind of littered around that you can freely explore on the side, which I thought was a cool little quirk. On the objective, you eventually free some marines from a makeshift prison, and then hop in a Scorpion and hold off from a couple of waves of phantoms and also a lot of heavy armor in the middle of the desert, which is quite a cool aesthetic. And you know what, speaking of aesthetics, you then infiltrate a banished base, the interior of which looks like it was made out of prison bars, which go really well with the really harsh red lighting and the dead Spartans impaled with energy swords to make this base feel really oppressive and ominous. On your way out of the base, you clear out every single regular enemy and also what felt like every damn boss in the entire game before taking the elevator to the surface where the level ends, bringing us to the 3rd level. And this one is quite a bit shorter and takes place in a banished overrun human city, the alleyways patrolled by berserkers. You work your way through the alleyways, clearing them of brutes, before reaching some kind of UNSC generator site, where you hack into the mainframe and hold out against waves of banished until it reactivates. And then your extract arrives, which is pretty cool. A friendly Saber descends into the courtyard, and you escape on that Saber, leading into the 4th and currently final level, which I gotta say, opens in style. You begin in the armory hangar of a UNSC frigate, and after gearing up, you hop in a drop pod and descend to the surface of a scorched, glassed battlefield. The trees all burnt up, and the ground crimson. But on the horizon is a Covenant landing pad that leads to a giant cruiser above. Seemingly fighting Covenant now, not Banished, you and your marines push through the glassed wastes, taking out all the covers in your way until you reach the landing pad, which you then use to teleport to said cruiser. Armed with a golden sandwich, of course, you slay your way through the ship's familiar-looking hallways and prisons, and then, in the final room, you slay what appears to be the ship's shipmaster, none other than Jaeger Erdomni himself, who, I gotta say, I put down very, very quickly. With the ship now exploding from the inside, it is time to escape. But instead of a Warthog run, it actually ends with a Banshee run, which I gotta say is a really unique twist on the iconic Halo staple. And in fact, it really does work quite well, and you know what, in hindsight, kinda reminds me of the flying sections of none other than Turok Evolution. But in a good way, those sections were absolutely god-awful and this was quite fun. Either way, roll the clip. The bottom line is that this is a really fun sequential campaign that I really recommend trying out. I also don't think it's completed yet, so there might be more to come. Don't quote me on that though. So this next one is really cool. Operation WALLCLIMBER. Now, as a huge FromSoft fan, I've got a little bit of a confession to make. This is going to sound like sacrilege, I know, but just hear me out. I've not played Armored Core 6 yet, which at the very least this level is named after, if not entirely based on a level from Armored Core 6. I will play it soon, I promise, but it's not been played yet. I gotta say though, having this level based on that, even if it is just a name, is very, very cool as a huge FromSoft fanboy. The level opens with you storming a beach alongside a ton of friendly elites who waste no time in charging the banished defenses, and as such, you very quickly progress through the gulch and to the main area of their beach camp, which, alongside what seems like a small militia's worth of elites, is taken with relative ease. But then, the real fun begins. You and your elite buddies hop in ghosts and are unleashed onto a vast desert battlefield, full of enemy ghosts, choppers, and wraiths, and overlooked by the vast cliffside structure that you're assaulting. And I gotta say, this section was awesome. Probably my favorite gameplay section out of any level that we've covered today. It really invoked the same kind of gameplay as the vehicle sections in the Ark on Halo 3 to me. I kind of got that same degree of vehicular fun out of it, and it really made me realize how sorely Infinite's campaign was missing sections like this. Just big, expansive vehicle sections with tons of allies and tons of enemies to really make you feel like you're in the middle of a war zone. Whew. Nothing really beats that vibe, I gotta be honest. Once the desert's clear, you ascend the cliff and clear the base at the top, and also a number of reinforcement squads alongside your elite allies. And again, this section was so fun, having a whole army of elites to back you up and lay down fire as the Banished advanced down the hill was just peak. Peak. The encounters in this level were really, really well designed. You then push over this really cool catwalk facility, which kind of felt like something that you'd see in like Half-Life or really any like Y2K era first-person shooter game. Very specific kind of reference there, don't ask why, it just really gave me that vibe, before descending into a foreigner facility hidden deep within the rock. After interrupting a two-way war, which I thought was pretty cool, between Adjutant Resolution and hordes of skimmers, you clear the room, kill Adjutant again, and the level ends. So, if you're craving some real classic Halo-style encounters, this is the level for you. I honestly cannot recommend it enough. There was very clearly a lot of inspiration taken, at least I think, from like Halo 3-style vehicular encounters in this, and it really shows. This was my favorite, at least conventional campaign level out of all the ones that I've covered today. Definitely give it a try. Now, penultimately, we have a level called Zeta Ruins, a level set on Zeta Halo and taking place deep in the heart of those beautiful, iconic Delta Halo stone ruins. And would you believe it, this level is also rather Halo 2 feeling as well. It opens in the wreckage of your Pelican, in the heart of the jungle, and you push up the hill and ultimately through your first set of Delta Ruins, which then open into this area that I think should feel quite familiar to most people. Reason for that is because it's at least a semi-recreation of the bridge section from Delta Halo. However, this time, there are no reinforcements coming to resupply you, because in the sky hangs a banished ship. So, you're all on your own. You hop in a hog, clear out the small stone tower, and move through these caves. There's then this really comfy little encounter with a wraith at a waterfall and a stream with those stone rings from Infinite's campaign, which I really liked. I don't know, something about this area was just really comfy and kind of pleasant to me. I liked it quite a lot. And beyond it, you reach another stone facility, and again, I really like the layout of this one. It almost felt like a Doom kind of arena, with these big walkways raised above what I can only call Death Water. I know that because I found out the hard way. Again, fighting through this area was really fun, and then on the other side was once again another kind of familiar area. A very similar location to the off the rock, through the bush, nothing but jackal section from Delta Halo. You even open it by walking down a stream that leads into a waterfall. Very iconic. Much like Delta Halo, I love the use of natural, watery, green environments in this level. Halo honestly doesn't really get enough of that nowadays. There are a few areas in Infinite's campaign that had it, a few little comfy streams, but there was just something about the design of the jungles in Regret and Delta Halo that I adored, and this is the closest that I've felt to a new experience invoking that probably ever, so props. When you make it to the final room, which is a stone temple that is very similar in shape and design to the room that you first fight Adjutant Resolution in Infinite's campaign, you, very fittingly, fight Adjutant Resolution once again, you take him out, and the level ends. Honestly, play this level solely for the aesthetics. I can't recommend enough. Try it out. And finally, we have a map that I originally wasn't actually going to include in the video because for some peculiar reason, Infinite servers just wouldn't let me finish it, but I figured I'd include it at the end as something of an honorable mention. This level is called Phylacter. Now, again, I loved the aesthetic of this map. Very different to anything I've covered so far, and really anything since the Silent Cartographer, I'd say. It was a really bright and saturated and very refreshing beachside map. You know, in a very cool way, it kinda invoked Fratiga Aero, which is an aesthetic that I am absolutely fascinated and obsessed with at the moment for a whole litany of reasons, but it really gave me that same kind of optimistic, refreshing vibe. The cave you walk through at the start was really, really nice. I love the little butterflies floating about, and the way that it opened up to a bright, sunny, again, refreshing beach that was also full of Banish to Kill was really cool. You progress through the level sequentially, where you take out all the regular enemies, and then you stand in a zone to capture it, and then you kill a boss, and then move on to the next section, which was a pretty fun gameplay style, but honestly, I'd recommend playing this level solely for the aesthetics, again. Also, I gotta say, I've not mentioned it yet, that huge Foreigner tower in the background, I love the design of that tower. It kind of really gets me going. Its design just looks so kinda technologically alien in a very ancient way, if that makes any sense. I love those like spires, or rather the kind of veins that come out the top of the spire. They look very, very cool. And so, my friends, those are just some of the absolute best custom campaigns and levels that Halo Infinite has to offer right now. I mentioned it at the start, but links to download all of these maps are in the description. I highly recommend that you go and download them and give them all a shot because, well, there's a reason that I covered them. There's a reason that I made this video the length that it is. Also, a huge thank you to all of the map makers and also the mode makers for making all of these maps and modes featured in this video. You guys are killing it. I'm loving the stuff that you're putting out. Please keep it up. Thank you again to War Thunder for sponsoring the video. Reminder to play for free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox by using my link in the pinned comment or the video description, which gives all new and returning players who haven't played for 6 months a massive bonus pack that contains multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account that is only available for a limited time. And so, with all that said, let's round this video out there. I want to give a huge thank you to all of my amazing patrons for the continued support over there as per usual. Thank you all so much, my friends, and thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll catch you all in the next one.